All right, let's welcome in everybody. Let's get our Facebook folks in here first before it's officially time for our final Monday episode for a bit. Boom, boom. There we go. Welcome in, guys. It is Monday, the 23rd of May. And gosh, coming off of a heck of a weekend. It's not over yet. I'm going to the Mariners game tonight. So just boom, boom, boom. It's going to be cold and blustery again. Welcome back to winter in Seattle, I guess. Scott, welcome in Monday. How you doing?
I'm rolling. It's nice and raining. We needed some rain here. There's a nice tropical storm hanging over us and giving us a nice pre-summer shower. And it was a good weekend of baseball and softball and football and all that kind of stuff. And ready to talk some Denver Broncos.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. Went to the concert on Friday for Portland, or in Portland. Lord Huron was good. He wore. I guess I don't want to spoil the concert too much, but he wore like a giant like skeleton mask that was like realistic. That the jaw moved with it. It was kind of freaky, actually. I'm like, am I seeing this? If somebody out here, I mean, it was Portland. If somebody out here is doing something a little bit crazy, they're probably panicking right now. Burnt my forehead on Saturday on the boat, enjoying the sun for the first time all year. So that was good. And did a really beautiful hike yesterday. So feeling good, tired, but my soul is recharged. So excited to be here. And also said it before we started the show. Last Monday show for a little bit for us on the Broncos for breakfast because no news starts to trickle in a little slower and slower. And also Scott and I are both extremely busy in the summer. So it's a little bit of a summer break. We're still going to be here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but
And I might add something different on Mondays. So
yeah.
I might dive into a little bit of stuff on our channel. So we're not going anywhere, that's for sure.
No, we'll still be around. Just Monday is going to be on summer break. Just like hopefully you guys are enjoying a summer break as well. And we'll be back. No worries. Luke Wright coming in saying, good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. How y'all doing? Doing well. Really beautiful hike yesterday. 7 miles, about 1,500 feet elevation gain up to a lake that is still just absolutely covered in snow. But it was a good time. It was a friend's birthday. Go ahead.
I said, that's just crazy. It was 90 degrees here all week, and it's just in travel, everything becomes so accessible. It's like I could be there in a few hours.
Yep.
It's a small world.
Yep. Yeah, it was a gorgeous hike. Old growth forest, blah blah blah. Bluebird day, perfect. Can't complain. So doing well, tired, but doing well. Dave's in the house as well, giving us the hearts. Thank you so much, Dave, over on YouTube. Ashton's in the house, and the Broncos should sign Tom Brady. We scoffed at that, but I kind of scoffed at it years ago when he was on the market. Kind of on the end swing and everything. But maybe they should have signed him when he was available. He was never coming here, but that would have been kind of funny as well to go from Peyton to Tom. Jeremy saying last Monday for a while. Let's enjoy it. Absolutely. As much as anyone can enjoy a Monday. Mark Hoynack coming in here saying good morning, Broncos country. Actually having a little sun peeking out. Send it my way, man. I'd actually save it for this weekend. I'm a little bit nervous for this weekend for me, but we'll see. EJ's in the house too. Good morning, Nick and Scott and Broncos country. Diamond Rattlers in the house saying boom, let's ride. Michael Ronquillo in the house. Good morning, Nick and Scott on Broncos for breakfast. Go Broncos. US Dave also speaking Spanish to me. Buenos dias, compadres. I think I nailed that one. That's not a hard one.
That sounded pretty good.
Good. Michael Ronquillo in the house and good morning, Broncos country. Let's ride and let's go. Diamond's dreaming about Russell Wilson. Said had a dream last night. Russell Wilson retired before the season started. That is not a dream. That's a nightmare.
I don't know about y'all, but I am between 12 and 20 years old in almost all of my dreams. Almost all of them without fail. I have like every once in a while I have a dream about my family. And I'm like, okay, so they've entered my subconscious finally. I've only been married 20 years and got a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old, but it's almost always school age. So no current events for me. Russell Wilson retiring. Yeah, that'd hurt. That one is a nightmare.
Yeah, that's no thanks. I really don't dream about football or anything that much. I'm such a heavy sleeper, and I feel like when the alarm wakes me up, it's just like jostles and everything is blanked. It's like the Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah,
Like as soon as I wake up.
The thing is, if you were a snooze button guy, that's where you'd hit your dreams. That 5-minute snooze where you're kind of dozing up. And I don't sleep that heavy. I'm awake constantly. Like, is it time to get up? No. Is it time to get up? No. I mean, I set my alarm for 5 a.m. Saturday morning. I got up at 4:30.
Yeah.
Is it time to get up? No. It sucks. I used to think, okay, it's nice. Oh, I got an hour left to sleep. Then you realize you're not sleeping worth a damn.
Nope. Not at all. I'm a alarm up, feet on the ground immediately. But typically I don't remember my dreams unless they're a nightmare. So who knows?
That's
like a heart
wakes
racing
you up completely.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Wake up to remember them. So, and that's what Jeremy says. Says I hardly ever remember my dreams. It's because you have to wake up for them. So, Anyway, enough dream talk. What's the dream? What's the dream this week? Did you already have it? Russell Wilson's here, new coach. KJ Hamler looks to be healthy. You know,
Yeah. A lot of
dream
good
big.
stuff.
Dream big, everybody.
Dreaming big. Also, Kathy's in here. Speaking of dreaming, it's going to be dream time for her soon over there in Germany. Saying hello, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. Good to see you. Chris Jenkins in the house too. Morning, Broncos family. Bama X. Good morning, Broncos country. Dom's in the house saying good morning to us as well. Sunny days. Bronco gang. Good to see you. Kevin Gray is in the house. Awesome to see you. Timbo Slice. It's been a second. Hope you're doing well. Says, what's up, fellas? Broncos country. Doing well. Really enjoying the weekend. Praying. Doing an anti-rain dance for this weekend. I got a friend coming up to do a backpacking trip in the Olympic Peninsula, and it looks like it could be cold and wet, which would be a little
Unpleasant.
miserable. Yeah, because you're hiking 16 miles into the backcountry. That could be rough. Rob in the house saying, good morning, Nick and Scott, my favorite MHH team. Thank you so much. That's so nice of you to say. What are some things to look for in OTAs? Chemistry. Typically OTAs, I don't really put too much stock in them because I am more of a film guy, and the Broncos have yet to answer me, giving me, hey, give me the all 22 practice film. No, they're not going to give that out to anybody. So I'm looking for guys to play confidently, not anybody making any like egregious errors. Guys stay out of trouble, and guys stay healthy. It's all
that's the one. But I snickered when you said stay out of trouble because that might be more important.
Yeah.
There's no. This time of year, there's not a lot of good headlines. Almost everything, if you scroll like go to ESPN/college football or any national page, it's all bad news. Healthy. Stay healthy is a big one. Learn the system, have fun doing it, but it shouldn't be anything too earth-shattering coming out of OTAs, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you there. I mean, I guess there is sometimes where things happen, but it's mainly when it's like rookies come in and it's like, oh my gosh, like boom, immediately this guy is a total difference maker. I think the big thing for OTAs that I'm going to take away is we're already there. It's just the difference in feel and
culture.
Yeah,
that's
the culture shift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is it immediately just the expectations, the demands. Everything's been dialed up because people know they're ready to go. When you don't have the quarterback, it's easy just kind of meander in nothingness. That's where the Broncos have been in 5 years. Like, oh, maybe, will they, won't they? No, you have a guy now. The energy has changed. The culture has changed. You're getting after it, and getting after it today for us as well. Jacob Foster coming in with the big stars over on Facebook. Thank you so much for the support, Jacob. We really appreciate you. And rubber stamp this one. Jacob, if you ever had any comments for us or questions, get at us because you deserve a chance to be, if you have any questions, front of the line. It's like the fast pass when you go to any of the amusement parks and whatnot. So we appreciate you, Jacob, and hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good weekend. We also have Fallen Sloths in the house, and good morning in Broncos country. Hope everyone's days are off to a great start. I'm a little tired, but I'm doing well. We also got Clee saying KJ Hamler's healthy. Next thing to tell me is there's world peace. Hey, now we want to manifest good things right now, but he is as healthy as he has been in a while. It might be a little bit slow, but
I think he's farther along than most of us would have expected right now. I mean, he's on pace to be ready for the first game. That's really good news on my book.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, anything you can get from KJ Hamler this year is gravy, and he's not your best weapon, but he's your most unique weapon. And he brings an element to the game as far as yards after catch, as far as dictating coverage with his speed. He can stretch you not only vertically, but horizontally. We need KJ Hamler to be healthy. He is a catalyst for the offense. He was a catalyst for the offense last year. I know they were playing trash teams those first few weeks, but the offense really took a dive as far as defensive players in the box, explosive pass plays per game, et cetera, once KJ Hamler went down. So you want KJ to be healthy. He's a great player when he's out there.
And speaking of KJ Hamler, I saw his name this morning as I was perusing around the net, and Bleacher Report did the best kept secret on every roster. And I'm like, all right, it feels like there aren't secrets on this team. Who could it be? Who could be that guy? And the writer, Maurice Moton, I'm going to say Moton. He chose KJ Hamler for the Denver Broncos. He says, despite former Denver Broncos quarterback struggles with accuracy, 57%, Hamler caught 30 passes for 381 yards and 3 touchdowns in his rookie season. Last year, he tore his ACL. So he says, but he's on the mend, but well ahead of schedule on his recovery, and he's got a link to that. And should be, I don't know that he's the best kept secret. He might be, because again, who outside of Denver Broncos country really knows KJ Hamler right now?
Penn State.
Yeah.
That's about it.
But
Yeah.
but, I mean, in the
Yeah.
NFL world, I mean, we like to think that there's a ton of crossover between NFL and college, and there's really not. There's not as much as you might think.
Yeah.
Um, most college fans have an NFL team, but not necessarily vice versa, and then they're only watching their NFL team. They don't know. Fantasy football has been what's been the boom for the
Big
NFL the
driver.
last 25 years.
Really has been. I was just on the boat party the other day. We were talking football. Like I didn't give a hoot, but in fantasy football now we're all like trying to trade running backs, and it's like good for you, good for the NFL too. The other sports just can't capture the. It's way too much managing. Too much effort. Where you can just set it once a week, much easier. James Hyatt saying, "Good morning, Nick and Scott and Broncos for breakfast country." Thank you very much, James. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great weekend as well. We have Kathy also coming in saying it's nice for a change to think about who is going to be quarterback 2 and not quarterback 1. I hope Rippon wins it just for the record. I'm going to be honest with you. If you're thinking about quarterback 2, you're thinking about other things that I'm not. Because if Russell Wilson gets hurt, then I'm thinking about where the Broncos going and with the 3rd round in the draft. Because
I'm thinking, damn, I wish we had a higher draft pick next year.
Yeah. Yep. That's knock on all the wood for that one, because my God, that would totally change. That would make things really bad for the Broncos, of course. But I'm not really thinking about quarterback 1 or 2. Have you thought about the competition much? I think they paid Josh
I don't
Johnson.
think there is one, because I don't see anybody on the roster that's a legitimate NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
It's not like okay, this guy comes in, so it's not a competition. It's plan A. You reference that all the time. It's plan A. That's it.
Yep.
There is no plan B at quarterback.
Yep. Yeah, it would be
not right now. In season, if something were to happen, maybe you get desperate and do something silly, but if it's plan A.
Yep. And plan A right now is to get to TD Randall coming in with a $2 super over on YouTube. Thank you very much, TD. Hope you're doing well. Rocking the shades, the hat, and the is that a full goatee there? You're rocking it. I mean, I really want to grow some facial hair, Scott. I can kind of get the mustache and stuff. My cousins for my sister's wedding coming up. Hopefully my wife can't hear this, or trying to convince me to everybody go mustache for me. I'm like, well, there will be one wedding and there will be one divorce if that happens. But if they keep bullying me enough, I might be able to do it. We'll see. It'll be a good time.
I like Stone Cold Tim comes in, and thank you to you, Randall. Appreciate the support, my friend. It says, speaking of Bleacher Report, you guys see the articles just suggesting we grab Cam Newton as a backup? No, but that is SEO porn right there. Yep. Is what that is. Denver Broncos free agent Cam Newton. 5 destinations for Cam Newton.
Everyone click.
Yes, that's part of it too. That's part of today's revenue driving model as well. Not going to happen. It was raining, so I took my kids to school today, and on the way, they're separate schools, so I drove them separately. Someone was cut me off, and it just reminded me of, I said, have you ever heard of Homie the Clown? In Living Color, Homie Don't Play That. If you haven't seen Homie the Clown, Google it. Damon Wayans is Homie the Clown. Is hilarious. Is just awesome, legendary. And Cam Newton to the Denver Broncos, I have got a pretty good idea what he would say right now. Homie would say to that one.
I mean, I enjoyed Cam Newton when he was a player, when he was playing for the Panthers. I mean, obviously, some people didn't like the showmanship and stuff, but man, he was a fun player, and I'm here for good players in the NFL that make the game better. And he was definitely one of them, especially ones that the Broncos don't really have to play that much. I guess I can't really speak for you, being that he was a road bump for you.
But I don't care about that. I knew Cam when he was at Westlake High School. I covered his recruitment and all that stuff. And plus, remember, he won a championship at Auburn, where I went to school.
True.
That means
true.
That means a lot more to me than whatever he did. Panthers Falcons stuff. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Cam Newton, but you don't bring in that ego, and I don't say that negatively. That personality, that drama that surrounds him to this team now. That's an emergency smash glass option if plan A fails. We're not doing that. You're not doing anything like that preseason. No way. No way.
Yeah. No, you're correct on that one. I guess never mind. We don't even want to speak it into an existence. We're talking Russell Wilson's plan A, and there's no plan B. So that's where we are. We also have
and then some. He exceeded expectations. Did Cam Newton live up to his potential? And then some. That year that he won I don't know. MVP? I don't think it was BCS championship at the time.
Oh,
because I refuse to call it now. I refuse to call the BCS national champion. I always called it just the BCS champion because it was such baloney how the teams were chosen.
Yeah.
But did he live up to his potential and then some? If you look at the box scores when he was at Auburn, he had a game where he won, where he carried the ball like 45 times and threw like 5 passes early in the season. And then by the SEC championship game against South Carolina, he's throwing the ball 40, 45 times. MVP, goes to the Super Bowl. Cam Newton was absolutely worthy of the number 1 pick and was a great pick and a great football player in this league. Lived up to his potential for sure.
Yeah, the conversation about Cam Newton, not to get too off the rails, but he was dominant when he was at his peak, but he fell off pretty hard and pretty quick. Why is that? Is it because his style of game was much more based on the physical traits versus, the Tom Brady, Drew Brees pocket-esque, I'm going to beat you with my mind as my tools completely diminish. I know that Cam Newton had a shoulder injury that also completely zapped him as well, that caused some issues for him. But at his peak, he was a fun player. His style of play, though, does make you wonder how it's a sample size of 1, which means that it's not predictive. If there was any R value to it, it would be not great. But his style of play and how he fell off makes you wonder about guys like Josh Allen, makes you wonder about guys like Lamar Jackson, et cetera, et cetera. These guys with these incredible physical tools. Not that they aren't cerebral, but they aren't cerebral to the extent that, Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and Drew Brees were. So makes you wonder about the longevity of those type of quarterbacks, if they would follow a Cam Newton path, or if Cam's falling off has much more to do with just the reality of the shoulder injury and everything.
And again, and the Panthers.
Yeah.
It's a team game. Yeah. If he's having that run, if he's drafted by the Patriots, does he have a longer run and more success? The Panthers haven't been good and didn't do a great job of building around him either.
Yeah. Yeah, in case FC Donley saying Von broke Cam. Also, Timbo saying Von had him seeing Ghost after that. Yeah, that was the beginning of the end for Cam Newton. But he was a fun player when he played, and the NFL league was better with him in it when he was healthy. So we'll see what happens with him. Black John Snow coming in saying Cam will be a good backup quarterback. Having him around a mature Russell can help him. Let's not act like he isn't better than some starting quarterbacks. He probably is better than some starting quarterbacks, but those starting quarterbacks that he is better than the starting quarterbacks that he's better than are guys that are essentially on rookie contracts that you're hoping can be something. So that's obviously Cam Newton is much older compared to some of those guys on those rookie contracts that teams are trying to figure out if they're going to be the dudes or not. But I can't think of any starting quarterbacks in the league offhand that I would say definitively Cam Newton is better than, with a caveat that they aren't like first, second year, third year quarterbacks. Maybe Carson Wentz.
What's interesting to me is the comment here is having him around a mature Russell. Cam's 33 years old. He's no kid. No, he is definitely better, but that's the point.
Yeah.
You're not bringing in a player that is starting capable quarterback with the, like I said, ego, I can't think of a really better word for it, but the persona, the gravitas that he has. He's a show. He is the show when he shows up. You're not bringing that dynamic into the locker room with an established starter. Now, if Russell Wilson were to go down, I'd be on the phone with Cam Newton in a heartbeat. Absolutely. But This isn't fantasy football. This isn't Madden. These are locker rooms with people and players and egos, and it all matters. And you don't need anybody questioning who the number 1 guy is as far as who the leader of this team is, because there is one. And Cam would upset that dynamic, plain and simple.
Yep.
It's not about, for me, it's not about Cam as a player. It's about Cam as a person. He needs to be somewhere where he can push for the starting position. That's not going to happen in Denver.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm hoping for the best for him, but we'll see what happens, where he goes and what's next for him. Thank you so much for the comment, Black John Snow. We got Sting Guy coming in saying, I have concerns about Melvin Gordon's fumbling issues. In a wide zone run scheme, I can see him playing a major role. How many games will we lose this year due to his fumbles? I mean, he only had one more fumble than Javonte Williams last year. So are we concerned about Javonte Williams as well? The fumbles are something that's definitely going to be concerning, and given the stakes the Broncos have now compared to last year, every fumble is going to be more magnified. But that said, I think the fumbles will be better this year. Last year was an outlier compared to his rookie year. He fumbled the ball a lot. Then it got better after that. Last year was 3 fumbles, I think the most since his rookie year. I expect it to be better this year. So am I worried about it? No, I think it's just something that you kind of accept that you should also expect to regress back to the norm. And also last year, I think he fumbled the ball 3 times, and all 3 of them were picked up by the opposing team. That's an outlier. That doesn't typically happen.
Well, and they're all
Javonte,
in bad situations too.
yeah,
They're all memorable is the
yeah,
problem. And I don't think Melvin Gordon will be getting the ball as much in critical situations. There
yeah,
is a number one on this team, as far as I'm concerned, and I think we will see that play out. That's my hot take, the
yeah.
prediction. We're not going to see Melvin in crucial situations. Not that every in close games throughout a tight game, every
Play.
possession can be critical,
Yeah.
especially if you have a turnover. But fourth quarters, comebacks, killing a game, that kind of stuff. You're going to see Javonte Williams with the ball in his hand.
Yeah, I agree with you. The one caveat I will add is crucial situations. If the Broncos are trying to play comeback football, I think Melvin Gordon is a more nuanced pass catcher than Javonte Williams is right now. So if you're looking to try to use the running back in the pass game more so than both of them are actually really good pass protectors, which I adore. That is my it's a binary yes or no. If you have it, if you don't have it, I don't want you on my team. Period. End of story. You need to be able to pass protect as a running back in today's NFL. So both of those guys can do that, but Melvin Gordon I think is a little bit better out of the backfield as a option in the pass game, outside of just the pure dump offs stuff. It's just more nuanced as a route runner. So we'll see. I'm excited about both these guys, and if you guys didn't tune in Saturday for Mile High Insiders, Luke and I dug in pretty deep on the Broncos running backs as well, and conflating it to the Packers, who, while the Packers had like a 57-43 split passing to running plays, the Packers number 2 and number 4 pass catchers last year in terms of reception totals were running backs. So the running backs, even if they're not running the football, are probably going to be pretty heavily utilized in this offense. Obviously not an exact 1-for-1 because you have way better depth in your wide receiver core in Denver than Green Bay had last year, where it was Devontae Adams and question marks mostly. But either way, expect to get these guys out here. Not that worried about Melvin Gordon's fumbles. And like I said, last year, he fumbled the ball 3 times. All 3 were picked up by the other team. Javonte Williams fumbled it twice. Both of them ended up with going back to Denver. We have data now over many years that if a fumble goes on the ground, it's a coin flip. So the fact that the opposing team picked up 3 of Melvin Gordon's fumbles and Javonte Williams, the Broncos recovered both of them, not likely to happen again. It's just as likely it could be flipped. So 50-50 chance there on each of those.
Well, and the one that he didn't fumble was right before Melvin Gordon did against the Washington football team. Javonte Williams. I was listening to that one on the radio. And it's like Javonte Williams fumbles. Oh, no. He was ruled down. So Melvin Gordon gets the carry the next one. He fumbles. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So it's, again, they're highlighted. 3 fumbles is just when you've already got that stigma, now you're watching for it. Now when it happens, you're like, see, I knew it. I told you he was going to fumble. Get him out of there. It just hurts that much more. So it's up to him to make sure. But PD Swag comes in. See, Philip Lindsay's the only player since 1950 with 700 plus touches in the NFL and 0 career fumbles. It's a very cool stat. I will tell you that. I looked it up. It was 622 carries and 81 receptions without a fumble in 4 years. Pretty cool. Very cool. Thank you, PD.
Yeah, and I hope he does well in Indy as well. Lindsay's the type. I told you. You just heard me say it. I have a have or a have not, or if you do not have this trait, then I'm not interested in you really on my team. And that is pass protection. Lindsay doesn't fumble the ball, but also he doesn't bring much in the pass game. So, and specifically as a blocker. So hope he does well in Indy. I mean, it's a good situation where I'll probably be the third back, assuming he makes the team there. They'll have carries. They're going to use the ground game a lot. Probably try to protect Matt Ryan some with that. And he should have a pretty good career there, especially with the Colts offensive line. And Kevin here also, we talked about Melvin Gordon here. He says, I worry about the offensive line more than anything. For me too. I'm not worried about Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. I'm worried about the efficiency and the ability specifically of the interior offensive line if we're talking run game. Billy Turner, he is what he is. I think he's going to be fine. But the interior trio of who knows? I don't think Dalton Reisner's got a guaranteed spot there. Center is not a good spot for the Broncos. And right guard Quinn Miners was good last year, but he's also inconsistent. And everybody just assumes, I mean, close your eyes and think back 3 years ago, Broncos country. Everybody was like, oh my God, Dalton Reisner was so good his rookie season, and he's going to just get better every single year. No, it doesn't always work that way. Guys plateau, guys regress. So Quinn Miners, I think it's a safe bet to assume he can continue his form last season and get better, but it's not a guarantee. There's no guarantees. Linear progression and growth is not a reality in the NFL. It just does not always work that way. So We'll see how the interior looks. For the run game, that's the biggest question for me.
I'm with Kevin too. I worry about the offensive line more than anything. I mean, go through the roster now. We can start
Yeah.
out in wide receiver, strength. Tight end, we'll see. I'm pleased with the options there. I'm a fan of Albert Okwuegbunam, and I like the big hybrid athlete in Greg Dulcich. Look at the OL. Okay, you got Bowles, right tackle, maybe center. Does Minor step up and continue progressing? Maybe Glasgow. It's that becomes definitely more of a question for me.
Yep, absolutely. Black Jon Snow also coming in saying any news on bringing back AJ Johnson, Alexander Johnson, back at linebacker, having 8 linebackers last year, hurt last year, was hard on us. He's still out there, and he was actually mentioned in the Bleacher Report article that we're going to dive into here pretty soon. But Alexander Johnson, thoughts on him? I don't think he's going to be back, considering it sounds like they really like Jonas Griffith. If they're planning on a hybrid role for Baron Browning, I think part of that is as much because they're not going to field linebackers that much, but they still want to get that athlete out there. So they're trying to figure out how to cross-train Baron Browning to work on him, so that way he can play the mug position as a linebacker, lining up over an A gap or standing up over a D gap as an edge rusher of sorts. So if there's an injury in camp and AJ's still out there, yes, of course. But how it stands right now, I don't think that is as probable. They also signed Alex Singleton, who cheap special teams guy. Worst case scenario, he's out there for a bit, racking up tackles.
Leading tackler, talent. He's got some talent, inexpensive. You've got a lot of bodies there. I don't see it happen. And again, like you said, Black Jon Snow having 8 linebackers hurt. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. But what we did see was, was linebacker play the reason this team didn't succeed last year? No. You had all those guys hurt and you're able to plug and play. Credit to Fangio's defense and scheme for being able to do that. But there's guys out there that can do a job that can be had for pretty cheap. And Alexander Johnson probably isn't going to want to look for very cheap. Mark Schrader coming in, saying, good morning, guys. Coming with some stars a little late today. Well, we're glad you're here. Better late than not at all. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely right. And Sting guy also coming in saying,
sorry. Let's get to Ryan first. I like this question from Ryan. Says, would Lindsay be so pined for if he wasn't a local kid? Yeah, he would. If he was an undrafted kid, I think from San Diego State and came in and had a couple back-to-back 1,000-yard years as the underdog. People love an underdog. It's a good story. He came in with no expectations, exceeded them, played very well, worked his way into a lot of Broncos' hearts. So he maybe not so pined for, but I think you'd still be having a lot of people think well of him for sure. I mean, there's another guy who was a quarterback here that grew up a Chiefs fan that didn't have the success that Philip Lindsay did, and he's still being talked about on this pod as early as, well, now and last night.
Yeah.
So I don't think the local thing has as much to do with it as the fact that he's got a great story and was really good. He was really good for the Broncos.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sting guy coming in saying, I hope you're right, Nick. One thing I know for certain is a good running game is a quarterback's best friend. I think a good offensive line is a quarterback's best friend personally. I think that's it's changed a tad, but yes, Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams should help out. Russell Wilson.
But the running game doesn't happen without the good OL. Those just kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, but the OL, then you also have him not getting hit or pressured or whatnot. So it's a double for me. It's like, oh, definitely offensive line. But it would be good. I'm hoping that the offensive line will be good this season. So let's get. We have Heath Holmes first. This is what I wanted to get to. Morning, Nick and Scott. I think the Chiefs are in for another slight dip this season. A couple of years ago, they lost a running game in Kareem Hunt. Now Hill, only Mahomes and Kelsey left from those days. I mean, this is always going to happen eventually, with given where Mahomes was at in his career. And the question is going to be just how good. The main question, honestly, is how long is Andy Reid going to be there? Because obviously he is an older head coach, and how much longer can he keep going as what he is? Who knows? But the Chiefs are going to have to undergo multiple evolutions during their time having Patrick Mahomes, and this is just I would say this is the first one where they're going to change how they're attacking offense or attacking defenses and what they look like with Patrick Mahomes. So this is an evolution. We've seen that. I mean, you can think back to any good quarterback who's had a really long career, think about how different Tom Brady, his first few Super Bowls were to Tom Brady with like Dante Stallworth, Wes Welker, and Randy Moss, to Tom Brady with the likes of Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski, to Tom Brady with Tampa Bay. Just these different iterations and versions of what offenses look like around those quarterbacks. So I think this is what you're going to see here. I do agree with you that the Chiefs do take a slight step back this year because Tyreek Hill is probably the most dynamic and influential pass weapon in the NFL right now, given what he can do after the catch, given what he does coverage-wise. But I think long-term the Chiefs are going to be fine because they had a good draft and they still have bleeping Patrick Mahomes.
And the slight dip was from 12-4 to 10-6 back to 12-4.
Yeah.
They made the playoffs and lost a wild card. The Chiefs have set a standard right now where that is a slight dip for them. That is that doesn't do you a lot of favors during the regular season. So got to take care of business, end the streak this year for sure. And but yeah, they're as vulnerable this year as I think they've been in the last. When you look at the record, 12-5, 14-2, 12-4, 12-4, 10-6. They might be as vulnerable as they've been since that 10-6 season in 2017.
Yep, I agree with you on that one. So we'll see how it plays out there. And Reese Scott coming in saying, talking about Kansas City, says the Chiefs have depth issues. That are their biggest weakness. Good talent, but lack of quality depth. I think the Chiefs' biggest concerns are their pass rush and their secondary. I think they have good safeties, but I don't think their cornerback room is very good. I know they traded up for Trent McDuffie, but he's a rookie cornerback, and I mean, rookie cornerbacks. Not every rookie cornerback is going to come in and look like Patrick Surtain, guys. Don't let his season last year confuse you. Most of the time, they come in and have a little bit of struggles year one. So that's one that's concerning. Also, their pass rush depth. I love Chris Jones. There's probably nobody that's a non-Chiefs fan that likes Chris Jones as much as I do. I've been a huge fan of him since his Mississippi State days. But outside of him, it's a lot of question marks. Frank Clark has not been very good for him, and if they could move on from him, they would. His contract makes it hard to move on. After that, I don't know who's rushing the passer for Kansas City. That is super valuable for them. Obviously, draft George Karlaftis. We'll see how he plays this year out of Purdue. But Chiefs do have some weaknesses. I think they're mostly, though, on the defensive side of the ball.
And Surtain is a good player that came into a good situation. That was a veteran Broncos defense where he was able to come in and be a piece of it rather than being the savior of it. Coming in, you got Fuller didn't live up to expectations, but being there helped take the pressure off Patrick Surtain early. Darby, Simmons, even K-Jack back there. And then you've got, some of the, Von Miller being there, Bradley Chubb. It was a veteran defensive unit that was very good. And it allowed him to kind of be himself and not have too much the weight of expectations on him for a top 10 pick. And it was a good year for him.
Yeah. No, absolutely correct here. And C. Patrick Havner coming in with the support here. Thank you so much, C. Patrick Havner. We appreciate you. Hope you have a great Monday. Hope you had a good weekend as well with the fam. And hoping for some good weather Memorial Day weekend. God, I'm just going to keep saying that. Please, good vibes. Just let it do it. We got skunked last year. I did 4 backpacking trips last year, and I only had one that was very good weather. So hoping that we get some luck this year. But you never know. The Pacific Northwest can be a cruel mistress. So moving on here, we want to talk about the main topic now, get into it now. Bleacher Report recently had an article. Zach Kelberman hit on it as well over on Mile High Huddle. If you want to check that out, he goes into some details here, but Scott and I are going to put our own spin on it. But an article from, oh goodness, the name, I wrote it down here, Alex Ballentine over on Bleacher Report, and wrote about 9 teams, where a player would be a good fit on a different team. And the Broncos are actually on here with a team or with a player fit. That would be interesting for them. And they suggest that the Denver Broncos should go out and sign interior defensive lineman Akiem Hicks of the Chicago Bears. They write on the article that the moment the Denver Broncos traded a treasure trove of draft picks, I don't think it was that expensive, but a lot of draft picks, and 3 players for Russell Wilson, they were officially in win now mode. That means they should be aggressive in addressing areas they can improve. After losing Shelby Harris in the Wilson trade, they acquired defensive tackle DJ Jones. That's a start, but the interior line could still use some pop. Jones is a good run defender, but only had 2 sacks and has never topped 3 in a season. Akiem Hicks last year had 3.5 and was limited to just 9 games. Draymond Jones and Harris were the sack leaders in the Broncos last season, so they relied heavily on the interior defenders to get a rush. Even at 30, they didn't just rely heavily on the interior guys. Their edge rushers were terrible, but I digress. terrible.
They did rely on the interior guys, but they didn't want to.
Yeah. God. Even at 32 years old, Hicks can still wreak havoc when healthy, according to Sports Info Solutions (SIS). He had 14 pressures and 6 tackles for a loss in just his 9 games last season. In a loaded AFC West, the Broncos could use more pass rush help when they can get it, and Hicks has the flexibility to provide it in multiple alignments on the inside. So, dating back a while, I've said many times on this show and on the other shows that I would be interested in bringing in Akiem Hicks for this defense, especially with Ejiro Evero running this defense. I'm expecting the Broncos they're going to be in sub package a lot this year, but I think it's going to be sub package where it's going to be 5 guys along the defensive line. So you want the starter that would have been Shelby Harris's spot is going to be a spot that sees a lot of snaps still. It's not going to be the static 4-2-5. I think it's going to be a lot of 5-1-5. Insert friend's joke here. But
I snicker every time. I'm a big child. Can't help it.
Yeah. But I think Akiem Hicks definitely could help in this offense. And this would be, so camp is coming up. And if Akiem Hicks is still out there, this would be, okay, McTelvin regime, still not it. Awuzarike, who we just drafted, we like him a lot, but he's probably still a year away. Let's bring in Akiem Hicks, 1-year deal to be a starter there, because we're going to see the heavy rotation of that 4-eye technique position there along the defensive line that right now is maybe a little bit of a question mark. So I understand it.
I understand it too. And if you're looking at your big man options at the nose guard position, you're more than 305 plus. Who are you looking at right now? If you're in a 3-4 base, you're looking at Mike Purcell, who we've been trying to the last couple pods, I think we've been trying to ship him out and save a couple $1 million. Or you're looking at the rookie, Awuzarike. Those aren't great options. Now, I've actually been kind of trying to defend Purcell just a little bit because he's cheap. I mean, for this guy, he's 40% of the cost of a guy like Akiem Hicks. You got what you paid for to a certain extent. I think last year he was making less than the punter and the kicker. This is a starting nose guard. I mean, again, that's not Mike Purcell's fault, but could you get an upgrade on him? Now, Akiem Hicks made about $11 million last year. He hadn't gotten that deal yet this year. So what could you bring him in for? 5 to 7. Yeah, I think I could find 5 to 7. And I would probably save that 2.8 or whatever it is on Mike Purcell and put it towards that and say, okay, you're our guy. You're our guy in this spot. Awuzarike can back him up. And again, it's not just nose guard, one job. Like you said, he can play any one of those 3 spots on the interior line in a 3-4, or if you want to go 4-3, however you want to do it. But he is a more versatile defensive lineman, and it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. I personally, if I've got $10 million to spend, I'd be shopping for an offensive lineman.
Yeah. Question is who?
I know. That's the point. Is he available? Is there someone that's going to be available? So I wouldn't be in any rush to do that, because come June 1, there's going to be some guys that are cap casualties. You're like, wait a minute, this 4-time Pro Bowler just hit the market, so there's going to be, I firmly believe there will be some players available that I wouldn't be in a rush to eat up what's left of my salary cap right now for a guy like Akiem Hicks. I would hold, because I still feel the offensive line is the bigger concern as opposed to your interior defensive line, which right now, for the most part, again, the idea of Melvin Agim starting scares the hell out of me. But for me, I wouldn't burn through what's left of my salary cap right now for Hicks, knowing there's going to be more big guys available on both sides of the ball.
Big thing for me would be his health. Unsure where he is at this point in his career, given his age and the injuries he's dealt with the last few seasons. So is he even healthy enough to get a big contract? It would have to probably be a pretty incentive-laden contract as well. You said 5 to 7. My head was at 4 to 6, with the baseline being 4, and then ability to earn 2 more with incentives.
Yeah, which gets there. There. I'm just thinking he made close to 11 last year. What was he on last year? 12 million in total compensation.
Yeah.
He ain't playing for half that.
Well, then he's not playing here.
Then he might not. That's what I mean.
That's why you're not signed.
Say, to hell with it. This is a rough game. I'm tired of getting beat up. I've got plenty of money in the bank.
Yep. Very possible. I know he came in late too. I think he was a Canadian Football League guy at first as well, and then came to the league. So either way, I think he'd be a very good signing for the Broncos. Given your question marks now at the 4-eye spot opposite of Draymond Jones, and especially if the Broncos are going to mimic the defensive personnel usage is what the Rams did last year, because they used 3 interior defensive linemen a lot instead of, people are thinking of the Broncos as far as what does a nickel defense look like. They think of the 2 interior defensive linemen, 2 edge rushers, and 2 linebackers, the stack linebackers at the second level. Not really what the Rams did. They did a lot of 3 interior defensive linemen, 2 edge rushers, and then 1 linebacker with 5 defensive backs out there, and had a lot of versatility with those guys, especially those edge rushers. They were just as likely in that look to drop back into coverage.
When you've got edge rushers that are athletic, it gives you a lot of options. Those are basically, jumbo fast linebackers.
Yep.
That have the ability to go backwards, and then you're bringing pressure from God knows where, or 3 coming or 4. That gives you a multiple front like that with 5 on the line that can run with the tight ends, cover the zone, get out in the flats with the backs. Gives you a lot of options.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think specifically 2 guys who really come to mind for that, but I think you could argue 3. Nick Bonito, perfect for that role, absolutely perfect. We talk about him as far as a static edge setter and run defender. It's going to be rough year 1. I mean, you guys think that I'm tough on him. Listen to what George Paton and the coaching staff have to say pretty rigorously or pretty consistently. Yeah, he's got to get bigger and stronger and better against the run. Every single time when they talk about him. Yeah, okay, no duh. If I say that, I'm considered mean. But if they say it, oh man, they're insightful. No. But definitely for sure, that's true. You can kind of protect that somewhat, though, in a 5-1-5 kind of look where he's just as likely to twist and stunt or come after the quarterback as he is to drop back and not be relevant as far as his edge setting prowess when you have a little bit more meat up front. So we'll see. Baron Browning, the same thing. Also, I think Randy Gregory can do that from time to time as well. Good enough athlete dropping into space with some length where you can, from some downs, use him in a drop back situation to get other guys going there and attack different gaps.
You've seen zone blitzes where 300-pound defensive ends drop back into, in coverage. I mean, it happens. So
yeah,
you can do a lot of different things with, a 4-4 edge rusher, for God's sakes.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Greg Smith, aloha to you, saying good morning. Broncos for breakfast, a little bit late. That's okay. Better late than never. We appreciate you. Also, I saw Kayleon was in here somewhere. I was going to say hello to Kayleon Green. Where are you, Kayleon? Well,
while you're looking, we're going to get to Mark Schrader while we're hunting down. I'll hunt down if you want to do the read and answer the question.
Is Treader still available? JC Treader, what are your thoughts on him? JC Treader, is he still available? I thought he was with the Packers there for a number of years. Honestly, he hasn't even crossed my mind, other than his leadership in the he was the president of the NFL Players Association. So if he is available, I think you would have to be interested, right? You brought over Justin Outen, you brought over Nathaniel Hackett. Treader was with the Packers for a number of years and then going to the Browns. Maybe I'm getting my timeline off there when Treader was with them. If Treader is available and healthy, then I would be interested in bringing him in. No doubt. He's been one of the better centers in the football when healthy. So good call on that one. I just haven't even thought about JC Treader. I'm going to look that one up.
JC Treader, he's in a Browns shirt. Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, he was originally with the Packers, then went to the Browns. So he's still out there. I'm not sure why he is still out there. It's JC Treader's limited interest remains a mystery, establishing himself as one of the better centers. Also, he's the president of the NFL Players Association. Any thoughts there as far as maybe teams are avoiding him because of his linkage to the NFLPA? Is that something?
I don't think that matters too much, honestly. It's not the world's most powerful union, for God's sakes.
No.
If Tom Glavine could get away with it with the Atlanta Braves in baseball, where there's legit animosity there. But let's see, his dead cap hit for this year is 1.7. He was available, 3-year contract, $30 million is what he's coming off on. So again, there's another. It's almost like those guys in purgatory, Nick. Those guys they're not cheap, but they're not superstars. It's the middle management that is getting wiped out. The $10 million guys. It's like, well, we don't want to spend 10 here. We can get a guy for 2, or we're going to spend 20, or we just can't. We just spent 20, so we can't afford 10. But he is another one of those middle guys, just like Akiem Hicks. So absolutely still available. So again, there's players out there that Akiem Hicks would not be my first priority for what's left of my salary cap. I think I've said that 3 times now. So hopefully that's clear.
For sure. And a guy that I was
in line first. My priority would be to get a sure enough dog on the offensive line if he's out there.
Yeah.
Keon Green
There's
came in
Keon.
quiet. Yo.
What's up, Keon? Hope you're doing well.
To you. The late Scott Hall passed away recently. He always opened up his mic talks by go, "Hey yo." That's for a little more wrestling speak.
I never got into the wrestling other than the actual like sport of wrestling, because in Iowa it's a religion almost. Tommy Simmers coming in saying, speaking of Evero with his 5-1-5 defense alignment, does Chubb get his hand in the dirt with this setup? Maybe on 3rd and long, especially if Bottle? Is that Benito? I don't know what that is. A burrito. It's a burrito. There we go. Especially if Burrito or Browning flash again can be used to hide the pressure. Definitely you'll see some looks with Chubb standing up and doing different things there as a 4-eye or a 5 technique or something. That's going to, I think that's going to be a little bit more exotic looks there. So it's not going to be very often. It's going to have to be like obvious pass down. No, it's like it's 3rd and 8. The other team is down by 10 and it's halfway or you have 10 minutes left in the 4th quarter. That's when you can start to see some of those more exotic alignments and looks there, because while Chubb is a strong player at the point of attack, more or less a bigger body for that stand-up linebacker position, he's not somebody that you want hanging against a double team against a guard and tackle against the run. So if it's an obvious pass down where you can do a lot of different stuff and attack gaps with twists and stunts and delayed blitzes and simulated pressure, then absolutely you're going to see some funky stuff up there. But you want to be able to rotate guys anyway. So even if I'd be okay with a play where, let's say you have Benito lined up as a stand-up edge rusher, and then Baron Browning over the A gap, and then Chubb is off the field for that down. You're going to have a rotation there. I think Chubb is going to be more valuable in your more static 4-2-5 kind of looks, more classic edge rush positions. Chris Hernandez coming in with the stars and the support over on Facebook, saying have a great day with the exclamation point and the orange and blue heart. So we appreciate you, Chris. Hopefully you have a great day as well. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a good weekend.
Yeah, I saw a comment from going back to the versatility, and I think it was Tommy that said Randy Gregory better be able to do everything for what we paid him, and kind of crinkled my eyebrows together. I'm like, he's got the 46th lowest cap hit in among edge rushers in the NFL.
Yeah,
got Randy Gregory for a freaking bargain, and he can get out of that early. I mean, if he earns all that money, great, but that was a hell of a deal for what you're getting on him. That's one of the best deals, could end up being one of the best deals of the off season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Jeremy saying, I'd like to see Nick break down historical wrestlers by their measurables. That'd be fun.
Tony Atlas, that was my guy. One of my first guys. I think he was like a former Mr. Olympia or something. Look up, he was, it was near and dear to my heart in Atlanta. The old NWA was here, down at like Center Stage or something, back when they didn't do anything fun on TV. They basically did everything for their live shows, so it was, they'd film it in a studio with like maybe 50 people in the crowd watching, and then they'd sell out the Omni. And there was never any good matches on. So it was basically soap operas with better acting and better stunts. So I enjoyed it. It was one thing my mom would not let me watch wrestling. I had to sneak it. I had to sneak it in. And I was like on the Superstation, channel 17 with my UHF little circle antenna to watch Ric Flair and Tony Atlas and the Junkyard Dog. And then, so I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah. Andre the Giant would have been a great offensive tackle, I bet. Maybe a little bit too much, maybe too high on him. I want to see what the foot speed looks like. But I'm sure he'd have been a great player. That's the thing, man. I think I mentioned it on here before. Few of my buddies are big NBA guys, and I just don't have enough time to commit that much to the NBA. And I watch it and I'm just like, these guys should be playing freaking football. Like, this is driving me nuts.
It'll break your heart if you go to like an AAU tournament and you see 6'3" to 6 foot guys, 6'5" guys everywhere. They're all over the place. Who won't get a sniff of money in basketball? Like, dude, I got scholarship money waiting on you to play football. 6'3" to 6'5" is big. That's a big wide receiver.
Or edge rushers too. I mean, some of these power or the more stocky guard small forward types, man.
Most of the time you can't translate basketball players to defense. I
just want the athlete, especially young.
It's a different mentality, where the basketball mentality translates better to catching and running than it does to absorbing hits and hitting other people.
Yeah, it's true. I just see the wingspans and the body types. I'm like, man, you could bench press a tackle and get under him, no problem. Mainly, honestly, I see that more when I watch NCAA football, or NCAA basketball. But I digress. Guys, we're gonna get out of here pretty soon. Actually, I got to go pick up groceries. So if you got any last minute comments before we get on out of here, or any super chats or thoughts on the weekend or
dancing
etc.,
like WoW star. I
get 'em
haven't
in.
seen that one, Gary. That looks interesting. So appreciate the and StreamYard asks us all the time, how'd it go? Yes, thumbs up, thumbs down. What can we do better? I'm like, I want to be able to show the graphics on Facebook because y'all do some very cool things, especially when you come in every so often. You get like a giant donation and the screen goes kaboom. I want to show that. That'd be awesome. Anyway.
Absolutely. That would be, it is a bummer that we can't see like on YouTube, it's really obvious, the super chats and whatnot. On Facebook, a little less obvious, a little more work for us. So,
which we don't mind. We just want you to get the props you deserve for, a very cool sticker, Gary. So we try and make it up to you. Appreciate the support.
Yeah, thank you so much, GLP. Hope you had a good weekend. Hopefully your health as well. So wrapping it up here, Broncos signing Akiem Hicks, according to the article. Not actually, nobody clip that. Advocating for the Broncos to sign Akiem Hicks. I wouldn't be against it. This article did just get player fit correct. They listed that the Browns should bring back Jadeveon Clowney, and lo and behold, Jadeveon Clowney is now back with the Cleveland Browns. AFC West, or excuse me, the AFC just keeps getting better and better, unfortunately. But Akiem Hicks would make a lot of sense to me, and this is as much as how much of an unknown Mick Telvin regime is at the 4-eye spot, and Awuzurike, Iowa State pass rusher, defensive lineman that the Broncos just drafted in the 4th round. So wouldn't be against it. It all comes down to the contract and the health, though, which he's still out there. There's questions there for me because of that.
And unfortunately, there's a reason why Melvin Agim is unknown.
Mick Telvin.
McTelvin, I'm sorry. McTelvin. McTelvin Agim is unknown. I was more worried about screwing up his last name.
You got the last name.
McTelvin Agim is unknown, and I'm screwing up his name. There's a reason why. I can say Awuzurike and Okawebanam, but screw up McTelvin Agim's name because he hasn't earned it yet. And it'd be great if he did. He had you got a premium draft pick on him. And again, the athletic big men are hard to find. He is an athletic big man, and if he can come in and fill a role and take that jump forward, you got something there. That would be a dream. We started off talking dreams and nightmares earlier. That would be a dream scenario for the Denver Broncos.
100%. PD Swag coming in saying, you guys are awesome. Thank you for putting in the time with us. Let's go Broncos country. You guys make the time. So we appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. Sting guy coming in saying, is this Chubb's last season if he gets less than 10 sacks? Depends on what it looks like. If he's like on his way to, let's say he has 8 sacks in 5 games and then gets injured and it's like a pectoral injury, then maybe we're having a different conversation. Either way, if he gets injured again, I guess we're having a different conversation. But right now, I think it's a coin flip, 50-50. Is Chubb back next year or not? A lot has to be played out. We have a lot of information that we're going to gather, so we don't know yet, but definitely possible. If he has less than 10 sacks this season, want to see what it looks like, but that doesn't help his cause.
He's on $14 million this year, so he could get offered another contract, but it's not going to be at 14. If it comes down, if he has less than 10 sacks, he's not going to get a multi-year deal with 14 or more. He could come back at half that price if we see it. Would someone else be willing to take a flyer on him? We just mentioned a couple guys that were in that 10 to 11 range who are not getting contracts yet. That's where he'll be. He'll be in that purgatory where he's not going to make as much as he was making. He's younger, so that helps. But he no one has more incentive in this world than Bradley Chubb to have a big year. It could literally be $100 million season for him.
Yep.
And at least a $20 million on a tag. So that would be great. If you lose him to a giant free agent contract, that meant he had a monster season. Great. Thank you. But this is his last season with the Denver Broncos. Yes.
Calling a shot. Said yes to that one. We'll see. I want to gather more data.
Yes. Because if you have to ask, you got to bet right now, Scott, which one is it? Bradley Chubb plays for someone else next year.
Certainly possible. Unfortunately, because he's been good when he's been healthy, but he hasn't been amazing. And it's kind of unfortunate for him following Von Miller because he's expecting him to be Von Miller was, oh, he just has to be the best edge rusher in football. Okay, good luck.
Well, and right now I'm just looking again. You ask about contracts, right, Nick? Is he worth what he's getting paid? No, he's not. He hasn't. He's getting paid $14 million this year. Do you have a $14 million player out of him? Not right now. And if he's not worth what he's getting paid, then he's gone. And he probably wouldn't want. Okay, we want you to come back, but we want you to take a 3-year, $21 million contract. If your current employer tells you that, you say, okay, I'm looking elsewhere. That makes you feel bad. He might get 321 somewhere else, but it's hard to take that kind of a pay cut and stay. Glasgow did it. Credit to him. Glasgow did it. And some guys do it, but I would love it. I would love it for him to play into a year where you've got to. So do we need to tag him now? Do we need to tag him? Do we need to offer him a contract? That'd be great. Love to see it. Good luck to him. That's what we're rooting for.
Yeah, absolutely. Rooting for him all the way. Thank you so much. We got Michael coming in saying, great show today. Nick and Scott and Broncos for breakfast. Let's ride. Greg Smith also saying, hey, Nick, All-American, former Iowa State wrestler. Dim Dustin lives across the street from me. Probably butchered his last name. Well, that's awesome. Either way. I'm not not an Iowa State guy. Iowa all the way, obviously, since half my wardrobe is Iowa, I think. But that's awesome still. Really cool to hear. This will be the nicest thing I'll ever say about Iowa State, but Ames is a fun college town. A lot of fun things to do there. It's pretty campus. So they're just, they're little brother to me, and I have to tease them like they are little brother. It's not like my full out disdain. I don't have full out disdain for Iowa State like I do Nebraska. Like I actually do not like the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Iowa State is, it's the little guy. They haven't beat us in football in 10 years or something. So good for you, Iowa State.
Yeah, as you get older, you don't care as much. You'll get into it. You're well traveled enough in things. The Auburn, Alabama. The nastiest rivalry in sports is Auburn and Alabama, because in the state of Alabama, there's nothing else going on. So Iowa State could be a little like that. But you're well traveled enough. You live in Seattle. That will go with time, where you're like, oh, I don't even care. Like I told you, I quit a job one time for not getting to go to a football game. I'm like, listen, I'm going to this game. What you decide to do after that is up to you. I'm going. I will not be here on Saturday. Now I'm like, yeah, okay, they're playing. Who's playing? I don't know who's playing. What time's Chelsea playing? My kids play at noon. That's what I know.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, we got to get on out of here. I got to go pick up groceries, but we appreciate you. The Corn Wars. Absolutely. Iowa produces way more corn. Nebraska's still the Cornhuskers. I don't know what to tell you guys. But we appreciate you. We're going to see you again live tomorrow, Tuesday morning. If you have any topics you want us to dig into, obviously it's that time of year where if there's anything like, hey, I'm really curious about X, we appreciate you. Then we also got Timbo saying, I still can't believe how Nick is a St. Louis Cardinals fan. Yep. Family, my dad's side of the family, born and raised in North Central Missouri, and Cardinals baseball was on every single day on the radio when I'd go down and visit the family farm down there. It's religion.
In that neck of the woods, it's either Cardinals or Cubs.
Yep. A lot of Cub fans in East Iowa, but I'm from a little further south there, Southern Iowa, and then Missouri as well, originally, my family. So love the Cards, love the Broncos, love the Hawkeyes. Other than that, don't have time for you. But speaking of time, we got to get on out of here. We appreciate you guys. We will see you tomorrow. Make sure you're following Scott and I on Twitter. Scott is at Scout Kennedy. I am at Nick Kendell MHH over on Twitter. Also follow us on Twitter at Huddle Up Pod and at Mile High Huddle. Also, make sure you're checking out the gear at huddleuppod.com. I know Chad has totally changed the website. There's new gear
store
coming.
It looks sharp. It really does.
Absolutely. I need to get myself some Mile High Huddle gear as well. Probably need to get some to rock for the week 1 game that I'll be attending there in Seattle with the Broncos versus Seahawks. Also, make sure you're following our Facebook community at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle, as well as facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. And as the ticker says underneath, because somehow it got changed to a ticker, make sure you are liking, subscribing, and sharing, hitting that bell notification over on Mile High Huddle, Huddle Up on YouTube. So that way you know when we go live. We appreciate you guys. We will see you soon. We'll see you tomorrow. Timbo saying go Cubs. Woof. The bad note to end on there. And we appreciate you. Have a good one. Choose kindness, choose compassion. Go Broncos.